Hello, I know it's been a long time. I was going to try to figure this out, and then apparently I had a whole life that I hadn't figured out yet, and that got in the way. So I am posting over here today, and I will direct some people on my TikTok over here because they wanted more details about what's going on. And I had what I think might be something that some people might need to hear, myself included. So Ralph is very, very sick. He is a severe, well, they don't know for sure. You know, it's like one of those irritating things. It's probably severe bronchitis. They thought at first it was bilateral pneumonia. The walk-in clinic, they did a chest x-ray, and they're like, you got to get to the ER because we have to catch this before it turns into something worse, and you don't have 2 days to let the antibiotics catch up. And we're like, okay. So we head on over to a wild experience at a local hospital here. I live in Everett, Washington. Those that are local know exactly what I mean, and it's exactly what you think would be. We've done this before, so we knew what to expect. I have a wonderful story, but I can't figure out how to tell it from the last time we were there without having people run after me with pitchforks. But I'll figure it out. Anyway, we went there. It was a harrowing experience. I will not go into it because that's a whole separate post if I was going to make it. But the bottom line is they were like, we don't think it's, the radiologist looked at the x-rays and said, I don't see pneumonia here. But he had a white cell count that was elevated. He had depleted oxygen levels. So that means he's fighting an infection. So they gave him IV antibiotics, and we walked out with a script. And he is on his first round of the script, and it seems like he's a small percentage better, but it is so hard to tell with him. He's a tough old man. He's a Vietnam vet in the Navy. He was like a crapping person in Alaska. A crapping person. He was an engineer on different crapping ships in Alaska. He's just this tough guy. He's like, teaches self-defense and ranger. Like, you get the idea of what kind of dude he is, right? So it's kind of hard because he's like real stoic until it hits a wall, and then he's real pitiful, and then I don't know what to do with him. So that's where he is right now. He just turned 70 a week or so ago, and I think that's kind of messed with his head a little. It's kind of messed with my head a little. You know, we're both getting older, and we are raising the grand step spawn, and there's just a lot here. Just a second, I'll collect myself. Okay, also part of it, I know you're like, oh, this is so much fun to listen to. Honestly, I'm trying to get to but I just have to do a front load here. I am widowed, he is widowed, but that's besides the point. I am widowed, and my late husband and I were married for 19 years. We went into the emergency room one night because he had back pain, and he never left. Turned out it was cancer, and we went all the way through to where he was in the hospital and then transferred to hospice, and he died in hospice. So no part of this is like my feelings are triggered from all of that trauma, which there really was. Geez, y'all. Okay, I gotta get teary for a minute. I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. At that time, my son was 16, and his now wife, through a set of circumstances, was living with us in our home when my husband died. And there's the three of us, and my husband and I owned a business together that went away when he died, and I had no means of support, no money coming. It was just, y'all get the idea. It was horrifying. The house that we lived in was falling down around our ears because we hadn't taken the time to fix it up. We had made these big plans that we were going to do a complete house renovation, so we had just let stuff go. It was just bad. I mean, as bad as you can imagine. I was terrified about being homeless, like legitimately. I had the medical bill of the day. I ended up in like $1 million of medical debt. We had insurance, by the way. We had good insurance. Go America. Okay, so what I told my son, and now daughter-in-law then, is what I told the grand step spawn, because both of us are rattled about what would happen if something happened to Ralph. And obviously, at our age, something's going to happen to us. What I told my son then is what I told her now, which is what I wanted to tell y'all after that long, depressing intro. It's that you have to have faith that you yourself are going to make things better and okay. I'm not a particularly religious person. I do think there's something more beyond this life, because otherwise, why are we making ourselves this miserable? Like, to me, it's just common sense that there's got to be some reason we're struggling to be better, to know better, and it's got to be beyond propagation of the species, because otherwise we would just boink and go, right? I mean, I know some people just do that, but the majority of us don't. The majority of us are trying to make things better and trying to make ourselves better, and I feel like there's got to be a reason for that. So I grew up going to church every Sunday and hearing that word faith bandied about. And to me, it always seemed like they were talking about a faith in a higher power, a faith in God, a faith in Jesus. Like you just had to put your faith in him, blah, blah, blah. And that always felt weird to me. And like, really? Because, you know, in the Bible, even it says the good Lord helps those who help themselves. That to me seems to be more in line. So going through this traumatic event years and years ago, when my first husband died, I realized that I was in panic and depression, obviously, and grief, huge amounts of grief and shock, that I couldn't live in that space. You can't live in a space where things are constantly being destroyed. You have to claw your way back to get in a space where it feels like you are going to build something to be better. And then you have to believe in yourself, that you're intelligent enough, and that you have sympathy, empathy, that you can advocate for yourself well enough, that you have the faith that you will make things better. And you have to believe in those that are around you that claim to love you, that if you really needed them and came to help, you have to have faith that they will help you. You have to have faith in your community, that there's enough things out there that if you really got stuck, that someone would help you. That is true faith. But mainly at the core of it, I believe, is that faith in yourself. Like, you have to believe that you have the intelligence to make things better. Like, you can grieve and you can cry. Oh God, now I'm going to cry because I said we're crying. But you can grieve, you can cry, you can scream. I drive around and scream all the time, by the way. It's very cathartic. You can do all of that stuff. You can live in that space for a while. But your day-to-day, when you get up, you have to look in the mirror and go, I'm going to fight to make this better. I'm going to fight to build something better for myself. So that's what I was telling the Grand Steps Bond. That if things happen, we're going to have to be in a panic, and it's going to be horrible. And we're going to drop some balls. We're going to make huge mistakes. God knows I made giant mistakes when my husband died. But it's inevitable. We will make those mistakes, but we have to have faith that we have each other and that we will make things better. And even if we didn't have each other, you have yourself. And you have to believe that you can make things better for yourself. You get to a space after you've dealt with all the stuff that you have to deal with, that you can start building things up instead of watching things fall down. What I gradually did back when I was through my grieving moments and trying to work through everything is I put myself on a grief schedule. I know that sounds ridiculous. It worked for me. By the way, it won't work for everybody. This whole thing about grief counseling and stuff, it is not a one-size-fits-all. It's people grieve in such a huge variety of ways. But this is what worked for me. I would literally allow myself an hour to weep uncontrollably, to scream, to do whatever I want to do for an hour. And then when that timer went off, I pull myself together and I would go do something that I know that would elevate my mood just a little bit, which was usually go take a walk. Go take a walk, listen to music, go take a walk. Sometimes I'd do painting or drawing or something like that. And then I would set 2 hours on a timer when I got back from that I would take care of the things that had to be taken care of. And then 30 minutes a day, I looked at medical bills. And I had to do that because you will sit in a space where you try to fix everything all at once and your brain is broken. You can't do that. You can't expect you to do that for yourself. That's too much. But you can, logically, from a distance, go, I could do that for half an hour out of the day. I could do that for half an hour. So that's what I would do. So that's what I was telling Grand Step Spawn, that we would set up a schedule, we would get our way through, we'd make mistakes, but we would fix it. And there are people in the wings that if we had to, we could call in favors and they would come hold our hand through it. So that to me is the true meaning of faith. And I think each and every one of you that are still here listening to this mess, you have that within yourself. Please believe in yourself. Because honestly, I am pretty dang dysfunctional. I'm ding-dong in the head. There's a lot of things kooky about me. And if I could figure out how to do this with as limited skills as I have, trust me, you can. We can do this. Anyway, that's it. That's the state of the Deven address, and I hope you took some comfort from this if you needed to. Okay, talk to you later.